Thank you very much, Program Director. The white paper was finished about 2 months ago, but now we're engaging in its implementation. Ladies and gentlemen, let me recognize our enthusiastic Program Director. Let me also acknowledge the organizers of this wonderful conference led by Dr Cwele, the representative who come from government, and I'm informed you are the captains of the real captains of the ICT industry. And also those who may join us through digital platforms, the media, ladies and gentlemen. It really gives me a great pleasure to welcome you, so many of you, to this 19th annual AfricaCom conference, and indeed to our beautiful country. And I trust that you have opportunities to experience our unique hospitality that is infused with our deep culture of Ubuntu, or humanity. We'd like to welcome you to the information age, an era of blissful marriage between the digital and the physical world. A much welcome union that consecrates human beings with new unique experience in information, accessible anywhere and anytime. I'm excited to be amongst you, so many techies, and people who know a lot about technology. I'm just a villager. I don't know much about technology. Even my training, I'm just a medical doctor. So, but I'm here to learn and share with you our experiences as ordinary people. We're happy that all of you are brought together by an unflinching desire to use technology to serve humanity better by addressing our everyday challenges in the African continent. Some of these challenges manifest through the unemployment which we're experiencing as a continent, inequality and poverty. I look forward to deeply engaging discussion about how we all can do our bit for the greater good of building a prosperous and inclusive information society across our continent. The theme of this year's conference is harnessing the transformative power of Africans' digital revolution, the internet as an engine for economic development and social empowerment. The developments in the ICT sector have changed the world. The implementation of different strategies, making new technology widely available, has transformed countries, society, and the activities of individuals. The availability of these ICTs now determines the level of efficiency in different spheres of human endeavor and business. As you know, the World Bank estimates that an average, a 10% increase in the broadband penetration in developing countries like ours result in 1.38% boost in the GDP. Of course, we need to ensure that all nations and all people, especially the most disadvantaged and vulnerable, have equitable access to this vital resource for sustainable growth of digital economy. Digital technologies are emerging as key drivers for socio-economic development worldwide. Countries' capability to fast-track the socio-economic development processes, be globally competitive, and improve the welfare of its citizens is dependent on the extent to which it can develop, use, exploit, and sell information knowledge and technology in one form or another. Governments across the globe are implementing these digital transformation projects to improve the residents' experience of government services, increase efficiency and transparency, and also align government processes and implement government and smart city projects. In short, all these are about just our citizens, how they actually interact with us as governments, and how do we empower them in this digital age to actually participate. This digital transformation comes as much needed catalysts to data-driven governments in granting residents better access to information and augmenting citizen satisfaction and trust while meeting the needs of rapidly changing demographics and balancing the costs while optimizing efficiency. In short, what we're saying here is all about what are the citizens demanding from us. And we have to meet this demand and increasing demand and taste of our citizens. These digital technologies are an important factor for economic growth and improving our productivity. Chairperson, the key thing about the bridging the digital divide is that it is our collective responsibility. It's not about government responsibility. It is a responsibility of society, it is a responsibility of business. The lack of proper telecommunication infrastructure in rural Africa makes it difficult for multitudes of underserved rural Africans to enjoy all the benefits of being connected to the world or contributing to the economic development of their countries and the continent. The AU infrastructure projects, which are envisaged in our Agenda 2063, particularly those of power and internet connectivity, are crucial for this continent to leapfrog in the development, to be on par with the developed world. The UN Broadband Council 2016 report expects that by the end of this year, more than 3.5 or 3.6 billion people will be connected to the internet. However, on the other end, it advises that the bulk of the unconnected are actually here in our continent, Africa. And it was our former president, Comrade Nelson Mandela, who in 1999 reminded us that, I quote, "Although much is being done in attempting to bridge the gap between information haves and the information have-nots, the risks remain daunting. Indeed, it is sobering to consider the information revolution from the point of view of global development and its capacity to help rise the quality of life. We have to say that our collective vision is in danger of failing where it counts most, namely the goal of universal access to basic telecommunication services," close quote. Much as these words were said in 1999, they are more relevant even today. I would like to assure you that Africa will not fail in this regard. We won't fail Madiba's call. There are more opportunities in the African continent for growth in the digital economy and the digital services. Our mandate as a Department of Telecommunication and Postal Service is to create a favorable ICT environment for all, ensuring that South Africans have the capacity to advance its socio-economic development goals and support development in Africa. The department has therefore elevated the development of the integrated national ICT policy. As I've said, we have now a new integrated ICT white paper, which is guiding us as a document on how we're gonna conduct ourselves in this industry for the next 10, 15 years. We also got South Africa Connect, which is our broadband policy, and our Wi-Fi rollout programs. All these are the core of bridging this digital divide and knowledge economy. This also includes the acceleration of modern digital infrastructure, as well as these policy reform positions the country has adopted in order to meet our national development plan, our Vision 2030. Ladies and gentlemen, South Africa passed the national broadband policy called South Africa Connect in 2013. We were convinced that broadband has the power and the potential to improve development in developing countries on the basis of human rights, social inclusion, and the eradication of poverty. South African Connect policy aims to significantly reduce this digital divide, reduce the cost of accessing information, increase employment, and drive socio-economic growth. Through South Africa Connect, the government will invest in broadband infrastructure through aggregation of public sector demand and smart procurement of high-capacity networks. The capacity procured will enable government administration and electronic service delivery to digitally enable key social functions such as health and education, as well as supporting emerging smart city initiatives. Let me say that you know that we are facing this global challenge of economic growth. Government has only the resources for the pilot of this project. And we still require to partner with you in the private sector on connecting the rest of the district. We're only piloting in 8 districts and rolling out this infrastructure. Under the leadership of the Deputy President, and we're working together with the Minister of Finance, we are looking at innovative ways how the private sector here in South Africa or abroad, or finance institutions can partner with us in fast-tracking the rollout of broadband, particularly to our hinterland. Ladies and gentlemen, in addition, Wi-Fi technology has emerged as a practical solution for extending connectivity to previously disconnected communities. Unlike alternatives such as fiber optics and cell phone towers, wireless networks can be built using cheap commodity hardware and do not incur additional costs of licensing. And they allow collaborative and innovative activities that facilitate self-management and appropriation by local communities. In South Africa, there's a growing interest from municipalities to deploy this technology as an intervention to bridge the digital divide, poverty eradication, and is seen as a gesture of municipalities that cares. Deployment of municipal Wi-Fi is also viewed in relation to the establishment of smart cities, the internet and Internet of Things. In such cases, it contributes on improving service delivery, efficiency, revenue collection, and reducing municipal expenditure. Municipal Wi-Fi serve as a platform for innovation. As I've said, meaning revenue generation and experience transformation. Facilitation of this free access to internet promotes the access to information and contributes to narrowing this digital divide and basically empowering our communities. As a department, we have partnered with 8 metros, major cities in South Africa, and working in collaboration to deploy this, assisting them to deploy more Wi-Fi hotspots. And what has been encouraging is that our experience has been, much as initially we were worried, what are these people going to use this Wi-Fi for? Are they going to use it for naughty things? But we're very happy that over 80% of them, they are using this free Wi-Fi for job opportunities and educational content. And that's what is encouraging us to invest more in these technologies. And we're actually inviting entrepreneurs and appropriate technologies and innovation to fast-track and spread this program. On the cost to communicate, South Africa is still one of the relatively expensive countries in Africa in relation to broadband costs. According to Research ICT Africa, country is ranked poorly in broadband price index if you compare it with the 17 other participating countries. High mobile and the data tariffs are detrimental to the economic growth as they stifle competition and add to cost of doing business and discourage the entry of new entrants or innovative businesses. my department, in partnership with our regulator, ICASA, we are undertaking a number of measures to contribute to the lowering of the cost to communicate. With the cost to communicate program, we will review all regulations that have the impact on the cost of communication in South Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, on the e-government, government has identified e-government as a driver of demand for ICT. The department is currently developing a coherent national e-strategy which will provide direction for the implementation of e-government in public service, but also how the business will use these e-services for their growth. The adoption of this strategy will be essentially for the transformation and modernization of our public service. That's our priority. So all of you who are engaged in developing applications for e-government, you are very much welcome in South Africa and would like to partner with you. All of you who will help us to build these big data centers, you will be welcome in South Africa. All of you who will make sure that we increase the trust in the use of internet in our country, you'll be welcome to work with us as government in South Africa. But let me say, in relation to innovation, that South Africa comes from the painful colonial and apartheid past. Our constitution demands that we address the ills of the past, such as the marginalization of the black majority from participation in our socio-economic development. I'm pleased to announce that last week we launched the new broad-based Black Economic Empowerment ICT sector codes with the support of our industry and relevant stakeholders. These codes support and complement the development of the small and medium enterprises. And this sector has been identified as a key driver for creating jobs and fighting poverty. The SMMEs have immense potential to resolve the country's developmental challenges, such as unemployment and lack of adequate economic growth. The ICT sector has the capacity to accelerate the development of these SMMEs, and they must give opportunities to these new entrants. There are two broad aims in accelerating this MSME development. Firstly is to encourage the adoption of ICTs in running their own business, small businesses. Secondly, it is to drive the empowerment, which I've just mentioned above, through various measures which are there, including preferential procurement and ensuring that you assist them to also grow and innovate. The department program of action for encouraging innovation and digital entrepreneurship entails the following. Firstly, the digital entrepreneurship program, which is focusing to support all businesses to embrace digital technology. These digital enterprises are characterized by high intensity of utilization of novel digital technologies, notable social media, big data, etc. The second one is about localization. Manufacturing is key for us. We just import a lot of gadgets as a country, and we do have the capacity to manufacture. So for you who are the industrialists, we are welcome to invest in South Africa. You are welcome. We do have skills, and we do have incentives which we are busy finalizing with the Department of Trade and Industry. And lastly, it's about promoting the visibility of digital technologies and commercialization. So the incubation programs which we have and we support as government, they are welcome. We are very happy that many of the companies, international global companies, they are setting the African innovation centers here in Africa. I'm sure some of them are here in this conference. So we'll welcome more, and we'll also give more incentives for those who will be putting this innovation center for the African continent in our country. So of course we have to upscale the startups, as we have said. Chairperson, these are the measures basically we're saying we need to focus on. We're very worried that as an African continent, sometimes we are seen just as a market to sell things. Yes, we are a big market. We are a big market, and we're willing to buy things, and there is a demand for your innovation and your products. But in conclusion, I'd just like to focus on few key points. We'd like to raise that focusing on the supply side and infrastructure alone will not drive digital technology to scale. Creating and facilitating demand and products is also as vital to the increased usage and socio-economic benefit. And it's also a good business, because there are a lot of revenues we can derive from these demand side measures. So as government, we are committed to invest on the infrastructure side, but we are also saying we must meet each other on the demand side so that all of us can innovate around these demand measures, which are facilitated by the new ICT policy which we have just mentioned. The second one is about affordable devices. Yes, I love these nice international smartphones, and our people also love them, but they can't afford them. And we want basic devices. President Zuma has instructed us that by 2020, all the school-going children must have the smart devices or tablets. But they must be affordable. So those who like to make affordable but working, we don't want skorokoro, we want really working things. But we don't need you to put a lot of applications we don't need, because they also consume a lot of data for us. So we're encouraging you to come with innovative devices which will be relevant to South Africa. And I'm sure they'll be relevant to my brothers in Africa, because the issue of cost of the devices is quite prohibitive. We are saying that affordable access, I'm talking to my friends operators here, affordable access and collaboration across countries, because we are very small as individual countries as a market. But if we join hands and we collaborate as countries, we'll make it more efficient for business to take risk and invest. So, but the key thing is access, the platforms of access. Yes, we know we don't have electricity everywhere, but some of the devices you produce, they are low power devices. Some of them, they can use solar. We've got a lot of solar energy in Africa. Yes, sometimes it rains, but there's a lot of sun. And yes, as I said, we like these high-end markets products, but we also have to come with these wireless products. Because if you check the terrains which we have, and that's why the mobile has grown so high in South Africa. The mobile demand is going. So we're looking forward to those who invest in wireless technologies, even satellite technologies, to drive the internet absorption in Africa. There are also things we are really interested in terms of digital inclusion. The growth of these financial inclusion services is something which we really have to exploit, but in line with our national regulations, of course. So the biggest task is not just about getting people online. It's how do we keep those people online to be online. So it's the issue of affordability again comes into place. So I'm really urging you, all of us, as we hear, that we must find ways to translate technology in our own languages. In Africa, we've got huge content. which can be exported and be sold. So you are the entrepreneurs who have to come into that space. Government don't have the capacity to do so. So, but we have got very good content. It's not digitized, it's not commercialized, and that's where you can come as entrepreneurs to make it easier. And one, applications and software development. But they must be relevant to the key challenges which we are facing in Africa. I'm not going to repeat those. And in short, if you can do those and partner with us, and I'm sure my colleague, I serve with them in the AU structure, SADC structure, they'll say the same thing. I was in Durban last year where they were saying we used to use spears to fight. But now it is time to put spears away and use tablets to fight for our economic emancipation. So you are the facilitators of these new weapons of growth. And in those few ways, I really wish you a very successful conference. We want to pronounce it once more that you are welcome to invest in South Africa. You are welcome to invest in Africa. I was in a BRICS meeting, I kept on saying this. They were saying, why are you saying this? It's in your policies. I said, no, our policies are there to facilitate these things. They are not there to hinder the growth. And so you are really welcome, and I wish you a very successful conference, and in the next few days that you will come up with very practical things which you can have, and some of you actually will have to make some deals here. I thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister.